Hi, I'm Michael Killen. This is the Killen Report. I'm going to interview a woman who owns an important gallery in Menlo Park, California. Her name is Katharina Powers. I'm going to ask her for insights on how the owner of a gallery thinks about art, artists, and other topics that may interest you. Also, I'm going to announce that I will take part in a exhibit in San Francisco, and then I'm also going to announce that I'm working on what one might call the Stanford Painting. Katharina,
Yes.
it is lovely to see you again. Thank you for coming here tonight.
Thank you for the invitation, Michael.
So your gallery is on Santa Cruz Avenue in Menlo Park, California. And I have noticed something about you. You are adventurous, and you are a go-getter. And later on,
Thank
we'll
you.
chat about a little relationship you and I have had. But you come from Germany, don't you?
Yes, I am.
And whereabouts in Germany did you come from?
From the northern part, so Hanover, which is close to Hamburg.
Sure, and there are some Americans that have a lot of knowledge of Hanover because every year they, as you know, they put on the Hanover Messe.
Yeah, it's not the most interesting thing, but yes.
Maybe not to you, but I have gone 10, 12 years in a row.
Yes,
And I have found it interesting. And you've been in the United States how long?
8 years now?
8 years. And I notice you're a doctor.
Yes.
Medical doctor?
No, I'm a Juris Doctor.
What kind?
So a Juris Doctor. So I have my PhD in law.
Law, okay.
Intellectual property law.
Intellectual property. Well, in a way, being in Silicon Valley, there's a lot of intellectual property law going on. You would agree.
Oh, exactly. So 25 years ago, I actually worked in Silicon Valley on Central Road in a law firm, practicing intellectual property law, because I wrote a comparison of German and the US intellectual property law, some pieces.
You did an analysis of
Yes.
the two approaches.
This is patent licensing agreements.
Could you just say one difference or one thing in common between the American law and the German
Yes.
patent law?
The big difference I was writing about is the treble damages you have in the United States. So when you willfully infringe a patent, you get treble damages here, and in Germany you just get away with some damage.
Oh,
But
really?
you don't have to triple it.
And that just reminds me, I once gave a speech to a group of artists, and you know I'm, of course, an artist too.
Right.
And I started to talk about a little consulting project I had, and I was talking about prior art. And not a single artist knew what I was talking about. And they were all saying, well, you're talking about the arts in the Lascaux caves and the caveman artists, prior art? No. Okay, so when did you open your gallery in Menlo Park?
1.5 years ago.
1.5 years ago. And so, and you, as you mentioned a little while ago, you lived in California.
I did live here 1995, 96, 97. So.
And so you really have a good feel for what's going on in California. And you certainly have a good eye for art. How does the art here, or the buying public
Yes.
of art, compare to what you have seen in Deutschland?
In Deutschland, I think you can say Europe for most of the part. I think it's the same, Germany or Europe, because we're all exposed to art from an early age on. We go to galleries or museums. We're always surrounded by art, so it's a natural way in dealing with art. And when you walk around in Europe somewhere, you look at art galleries, right? You look right and left and look at art, which is a part of growing up. And here in Silicon Valley, I realized that people actually walk past my gallery, so without looking to the left or to the right, which I'm not really used to. So my mission is to expose as many people here in Silicon Valley to art, because it's a beautiful thing and it's an important thing. And it has to do with intellectual, again. So because fine art is about intellectual content. And people don't really realize that when they think about art, they don't know the difference between fine art and art. And it's not of putting something just beautiful or pretty on your wall. It's so much more. And that's what I want to try to convey.
So I want to agree with you. And I've made to Germany maybe 30 trips. And I tended to hang around with executives of, Siemens, Nixdorf,
Oh, yeah.
Triumph Adlin. I mentioned that to you previously. And I found the German executives and middle-level managers, they had a much greater appreciation of art than a great number of managers and executives at organizations like AT&T, IBM, Sun Microsystems, and others that I have had a lot of experiences with. The Germans, the Europeans are much more appreciative of the value of art, I think,
Yes,
than
but
right here. And it's hard. Now, I do want to say, the higher level executives and professors that I meet at Stanford
yes,
or some of the companies I hang around with, the state of California, the higher level ones are usually more developed than your regular managers who might be making $250,000. So, they're not kids. They have a great appreciation of art. But it's, Silicon Valley does not have a lot of your engineers who are making very good money having that appreciation. Why is art good for the brain?
oh, good for the brain. Well, it stimulates the brain in a different way, obviously. Very different than if you sit in front of a computer screen and look at this. And one of my mission was that when I start the art gallery here in Silicon Valley, I knew I had a very, very different group of people I want to attract to art, and I want to actually educate about art. It's more about education. And I'm not tailoring my art gallery or the artists I'm picking, to give them what they like to see. So, for example, I had an exhibition about iPad art, and it wasn't my favorite, and they loved it. They thought iPad art is great to bring in the gallery.
What kind of art?
iPad art.
What's that?
So
iPad.
Yeah,
like,
so you
sure.
draw on your iPad with an app, different apps. And I had some British artists because, David Hockney brought iPad art. I made it public and made it something which is fine art. And I had some fine art artists who were painting on the iPad, with their brush you're getting, or the pen you have. And they thought it was cool, and everybody thought, that's really, really good. And I didn't think that was really interesting, because I want to actually show them that oil paintings, which are fine art and have a meaning, so have a story behind, have an intellectual content, that this is what's important. When you look at art and have a piece of art or choose a piece of art for your wall, you want to have something meaningful there, not something abstract, pretty, which, is colorful, but which doesn't have anything to say. So I want them to think about it. So their brain has to work, right? I want them to really, really think, do you like it or not? And art is very subjective. So I'm showing art which I like, and maybe they like it, maybe not. But I'm always showing something they have to think about.
Yes, and so I would just like to share about my experience building the brain.
Right.
As you know, I look at certain phenomena like greenhouse gas emissions or women's rights, human rights, or or loneliness or remembrance of things past. And to be able to paint those topics, one must think
Yes.
a lot. And now, I have written math books and computer science books. There is a certain kind of thinking needed to make them. It's a different kind of thinking to make art. I know being involved with art has increased my mental acuity, and it has greatly enriched my life. So I find it very interesting that you obviously want to show and sell and make available to the art-buying public art that helps people think and take their minds to new places, which I think enriches people's lives.
Yeah, I agree. So you want to expand the brain, right? You want to expand the imagination they have. And it's actually the opposite of the algorithm. Everybody's coding, and thinking about the algorithm, which narrows you down, which is totally the opposite of what I want to do. I want to, broaden the horizon. I want to really waken them up. And it's like, look, this is what you get. Because I think the worst thing about the algorithm is that it narrows us down. And if you do searches on the internet and the next day you look at your computer and you get some proposals of what you should buy, I think that's just so the opposite of what you should do. You should wake up and it's like, it's a new day. I don't want to see what was yesterday's proposal. So it's something you want to expand. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want to expand on your comment about the algorithms. Mm-hmm. Yes. A coder, a systems analyst, or whatever, works and works making an algorithm.
Yes.
And that is a creative process. It really is. And then they finish it. But then I think what you're talking about possibly is you and I, we get on our computers and we type something, and all of a sudden we don't know it. An algorithm is taking our request, our data, and going through thousands of little steps, hundreds of thousands of steps, and giving us something, and that's pretty...
Which we don't really need, anyway.
Well...
Yes.
Yes. So now I'd like to ask you, you have your gallery, and you don't know this, but twice before I met you, I went into your gallery.
Ah.
I run away from galleries that have, let's call it, designer art.
Yes.
Retail
art, commercial art. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the first time I went into your gallery, I was impressed. I was really impressed. I hung around. You weren't there. There was a young lady that was very polite and very helpful. And I think she even said that you were working with artists from outside the United States.
Yes.
Maybe Japan, I think I remember. Maybe China. And some other places. And then I came back again because I was interested. It was about a month. Again, somebody else was watching the store. And then by accident, I really bumped into you the third time. Actually, I went to, as you know, I went to buy sneakers across the street, and I saw your door open and went in, and I'm so delighted we had an opportunity to meet. And I think we should tell the story.
Yes, we can. So Micah comes into my gallery, and it's a Wednesday, and Wednesday is my day when I meet artists.
Tuesday.
Was it a Tuesday?
Yes.
Well, I had an artist there. One of my French artists is there. And you're right. So just it's a global art gallery, meaning that I get artists from all around the world. I invite artists for my artist in residence program, which I have up in Napa Valley, and I have them produce art for the art gallery. And what I tell my artists is like, you either do the exact opposite of what Silicon Valley wants, or you do have kind of a link to technology. And so I get the fresh artworks up from Napa Valley into my gallery, and so that's where I have my international input. And yeah, they're coming from all over the world. I think you see on Korean artists. Yes.
Tell me more about your art residence program. You help underwrite artists to come from different parts?
Yes, I invite the artists to come to Napa Valley. And for them, I think it's a great opportunity to get out of their environment where they used to paint or produce art and then go somewhere totally different. And when you tell anybody in the world, come to California, of course everybody comes because it's the most beautiful place, right? And for them, it's a great opportunity to have an art show in a different country and produce the artworks there. So
do you have some property up there?
Yes.
A house?
Yeah.
And how long does an artist come?
Between 4 and 6 weeks. That's probably
So if I wanted to do a residence program at your place, would I be...
No, you can't. You're not international, Micah.
I am very international.
Well, yes. No, they have to come from a different country. Different state is fun. I had a Native American artist from Santa Fe, New Mexico, which was great. I had somebody from New York. And but mostly it's for people from other countries to give them a different culture too. You know, my
Sure.
artist from Korea, he was a young guy. He was 22, and he was up in Napa. He came there, and he couldn't produce anything for the first 10 days, and we all got nervous. Like, is he not doing anything? He got a culture shock, right?
Yes.
And then he was completely prolific and produced the most wonderful pieces.
Yes.
Takes a while.
The name of your gallery is Art Ventures Gallery. How did you come up with that name?
All right, so one of my artists said, you know, art is an adventure, which is right. For them, it's an adventure. And they say they can produce the best pieces of art when they travel because they have their memories still. So traveling is a big point for the artist. For me, I see it from a different point of view because I was a lawyer and I had my own business before. And it's kind of, everybody has the venture name here in Silicon Valley. And art is like a venture too. So you either have artists who are going to become famous or you don't. So it's kind of, you invest in an artist by inviting them to the United States to produce art. You put the pieces in the gallery and you don't really know, are they going to sell or are they not going to sell? So that's the venture part, which I like.
That is interesting. So at this point, so again, Art Venture Gallery, and I love your address, 888 Santa Cruz Avenue.
Yes.
That's
the lucky number in China, the 888.
Yeah, 888 Santa Cruz Avenue. I have 333 in my street address, and I think I'm lucky to have that. So I also now would like to mention for our viewers that on October 16th at the First Unitarian Church in San Francisco, in the Star King room, which is a really good room, I'm going to show 9 of my major paintings. And behind us is a print, a small print of my painting Sustainability. And that'll be one of the paintings that's on the display.
So what else are you showing there?
The feature painting is the painting that opened first at your gallery.
Oh, I know that very well, yes.
Exactly as I remember, 1 week after you and I made a deal to show it.
Yes.
And
that's my way in getting artists in, which I really, really like to show.
I had not finished the painting when you and I made the deal.
Yes.
And I had to work 4 hard days with very little sleep to finish the painting.
Sorry about that, yes.
That's I'm like that. And I would like my team over here. My team of 1,000, would you show the painting that I just spoke about? It's called Safeguard California. That's it. This is a 20, you can look at it if you like, 20-foot
that's me,
painting, 20 by 6 foot high painting. It's called Safeguard California, and it's inspired by 4 what I call principles. Principles are things we refer to help us act wisely, and they are adaptation, mitigation, resilience, and sustainability. I hope I didn't repeat any of those. Adaptation, mitigation, resilience, and sustainability. Those were the 4 ideas that I built this painting on. And for mitigation, I tapped into the greatest character in the history of great literature, at least I think he's the greatest, Don Quixote, and he represents mitigation. He was willing to go out and fight the great threats and minimize them of his time. So that's going to be the feature painting. And by the way, the young woman standing in that photo, that young woman was you. So that's going to happen. That event is going to start on October the 16th at the First Unitarian Church in San Francisco. It's going to go for a little over a month. And the reception, and I hope you get to go, the reception is going to be on Sunday, the 28th of October at 1:30 to about 3 p.m.
So what else are you showing? What other paintings on there?
Well, I'm going to show...
So it's all about climate, right? Climate change.
Oh, yes. Oh, the name of the event is Michael Killen's Art climate change.
See.
And all 9 paintings will be inspired by some aspect of what's happening with the climate, what's causing it, how we can tell that it's happening, and some of the solutions. And some of the paintings I'm showing, besides a 24-foot painting sustainability, a 24-foot painting resilience, I'm also showing water, water everywhere, not a drop to drink. I'm showing Gone with the Wind is the electric grid.
Right.
And ocean acidification, and a few others. And
So most are about the California climate goals, right?
the painting started out by being focused on interpreting, as part of the project, California's climate change goal number 6, which is Safeguard California. But as I was making the painting, I decided that this is more than California's climate change goal number 6. It's about safeguarding civilization, and you know, I'm a believer that all of our actions today, we should say, is this a good action to be adaptable? You know, should we buy a house where we don't have to worry about being adaptable? You know, we don't have to worry about the storms and the floods washing us away. And sustainability, it's about everything we do today in building a new legal network or whatever. Will it be sustainable, considering how fast the environment or things are moving, and not just climate change, but other things? Do we have redundancy and all that? So,
Very important subject. I'm glad you're doing it. I think you're one of the only artists who is really taking care of that subject matter.
yes. So now I am working on another painting, and I call it right now the Stanford Painting. And it'll have leadership in it and a few other title things in it. I'm not ready to articulate the fullness of it, but Stanford invested almost $500 million a few years ago to take a certain technology that's not that popular, and they built a brand new energy system based on this. Stanford has, I think, 800 buildings. I think a good percentage of them now are heat and cooling is provided to these new buildings. And this new technology in Stanford's approach has allowed them to become a leader now in reducing as an example of how to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and significantly cut costs. And so
when are you going to show that painting?
I would like to finish it this December, but I don't want to have a heart attack.
You're
I don't
right.
want to keep getting up at 4:30 in the morning.
Like
or
you did
4
last
o'clock.
time, yeah, for the gallery.
I'd say January. And I'm hoping you, since I have so much respect for your gallery and how you think and how quickly you do things. And by the way, I have a team.
That was very spontaneous, yes, I agree.
I have a team that supports my activities. And when they heard about your schedule that you imposed on me, they were saying, Michael, this woman is going to run you ragged. I mean, I run them ragged. But I have a photo. So I hope your gallery,
I love to show it.
you'll be
No
the
matter when it's
first.
done.
You'll be the first,
don't take
and
too
then
long.
I'll let Stanford have it too.
I think
Could
that's
we
good.
see the other painting and that other photo, and that's the one you showed a little while ago? This is as far as I've gotten in the painting. And I want to say this painting is very difficult. Working with circles. There are problems in working with a circle. And this painting, because of the phenomena I'm dealing with at Stanford,
Yes.
it has 2 circles. You know, this is a 15-foot painting, and neither one is like prior art, and the other one is like the new system, and they don't connect easily. And I've been working with circles is very difficult. You know, like, let's take this painting. This painting, it was easy to move everything along, but when you get stuck with one particular painting.
Yeah, you
so
can start with
now I have 1,000 people working here on this, supporting us. Are you going to show us the first photo? Because I'd like to
Tell
show...
us about the circles. So what's so difficult with the circles?
The difficult of the circle is
To connect them?
it's closed.
Yes.
The lines are closed.
Yes.
And the phenomena that I'm involved in
Yes.
has heat going up. I cannot use the heat or the greenhouse gases to move to the second
I see.
circle. Okay? All my
Right.
paintings flow, and they're like books.
You know what? Maybe you shouldn't make them as big as the 24.
I should do what?
You shouldn't make it as big as the other paintings. So you're only dealing with 2 circles and not 6.
I should make it 20 feet?
No, not that big. Maybe just a little smaller. You figure it out, you know.
Okay. So I am coming over to your gallery sometime next week because
Yes.
I'd like to see the new art that you have.
Yes.
And I'm not thinking about going to other people's galleries because I like art that makes me think.
Good.
And
Yes.
so I'm going to...
Well, so, yeah, there's always something to think about, right? And there's always an artist who is pioneering in something, so who's trying to get on a new field of art too. And that's what makes it interesting too, right? It's not only just to make it, to progress it, you know. And sometimes we're also activists in the gallery. You know, I had an artist who's melting weapons into art. I mean, that's something that's a statement already. So it has to make a statement, some kind of, and it usually does.
Yes, so we're getting ready to close. My guest is Dr. Katharina Powers from Art Ventures Gallery in Menlo Park. I'm Michael Killen, and I just want to say, even though you are so fast mover and shaker, I can keep up with you. Again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Michael Killen in Menlo Park, California, and I'm an artist, but tonight I'm a TV talk show host. And would you like to add something?
It was a pleasure to be here, and I hope we can move art forward in Silicon Valley.
Yes.